Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into a really fascinating modern business survival strategy. Have you ever wondered how major global corporations actually manage to juggle countless operations across like 50 countries without just totally collapsing under the weight of their own complexity? Well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to decode a process that has literally reshaped the entire global economy. To really understand why this strategy even exists in the first place, I want you to picture a scene. Imagine a highly stressed business executive. Their desk is completely buried under piles of security logbooks, sanitation schedules, overflowing trash cans, and office canteen food trays. They're spending literally all their time just trying to keep the lights on and the building clean. And, while our executive is desperately trying to manage the cafeteria menu, their company's main product line, the thing that actually makes them money, is just sitting there, completely neglected in the background. With global competition ramping up, companies are being forced to take a hard, fresh look at their processes. Why? Because getting bogged down by non-core tasks like this entirely stifles hardcore product innovation. It's a real trap. Okay, let's dive into this because, thankfully, there is a solution to this chaos. Imagine a formal contract agreement sweeping in and just pushing away all those distractions. Specialized external agencies step in with their own highly skilled, fine-tuned manpower to instantly take over the sanitation, the catering, the security wings, the whole shebang. And suddenly, the executive can take a breath, relax, and focus entirely on what they do best: hardcore product innovation. So that brings us to the formal definition. Outsourcing is basically the process of contracting out specific non-core business functions to specialized agencies. The company signs a formal agreement, and boom, the agency sends over the required manpower. It's essentially a simple trade of capital for time. They charge a fee for their services, which acts as this ultimate efficiency hack, allowing companies to hand off peripheral activities and just zoom right in on their core strengths. Let's break down the specific types of outsourcing, starting with number 1, BPO. So BPO stands for Business Process Outsourcing. This is a practice where an organization hires another company to handle a peripheral task they need to operate. Think about, say, customer care centers for banks or telecom providers. By contracting these specific operations out to a third-party service provider, the company isn't just looking for cheap labor. They're actually leveraging external process expertise. This saves a ton of money and drastically improves productivity by using educated, skilled people for those exact tasks. Let's move to the next level and see how this builds with number 2, KPO. Now, while BPO focuses on standard processes to save some cash, KPO, or Knowledge Process Outsourcing, is a whole different ballgame. It's all about high-level knowledge and information-related tasks. We're talking advanced analytical and technical skills, plus a really high degree of specialist expertise. This is about outsourcing core information activities that add massive value to a company's competitive edge. It might not always give you an immediate cost benefit, but it absolutely helps in massive long-term value addition. So to really picture the contrast here, BPO is generally less complex, heavily reliant on strict process expertise, and good communication skills. KPO, on the other hand, is highly complex and demands deep knowledge expertise and serious professional qualifications. It's basically the difference between hiring an agency to answer your routine customer support calls versus, say, hiring a whole team of offshore data scientists to predict exactly what those customers are going to buy next. And that brings us to our final, highly specialized branch, LPO. Legal Process Outsourcing, or LPO, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's when an in-house legal department or an organization outsources actual legal work, things like document review, intense legal research, or drafting briefings. So, for example, organizations in places like the US or Europe can tap into high-level, incredibly niche legal talent in places like India and do it at a significantly decreased cost. It's a real game changer that allows law firms to flexibly tailor their staffing to client demands while seriously reducing their overhead. All right, moving into our next section, the pros and cons weigh in. We've seen the types of outsourcing, but to truly get a handle on this strategy, we have to critically and impartially evaluate the real-world trade-offs. Imagine a massive balance scale popping up right in front of us. Let's weigh the undeniable benefits against the very real risks. Let's stack up the columns on the positive side of our scale first. The benefits are honestly incredibly compelling. Companies realize major overall cost savings, and they completely bypass the need for massive tech investments. Zero infrastructure required on their end, because the partner handles the software and the hardware.
Plus, it naturally enables vital knowledge sharing of industry best practices and gives companies direct access to top-tier expert services, all while keeping manpower costs low. But, we also have to objectively reveal the shadows on the negative side of our scale. An outsourced vendor is usually catering to multiple clients at once, which can lead to some pretty dangerous distractions. There are also serious threats of security leakage when you're sharing highly confidential data. And on top of that, you face the very real risk of dissatisfactory services, contract misunderstandings, and of course, the harsh reality of cross-border ethical job losses, where outsourcing shifts employment opportunities away from a company's home country. So, a crucial point to remember here is that putting an actual ocean between you and your workforce introduces some really intense operational hurdles. First off, the client and the vendor are often operating in entirely different time zones, which, as you can imagine, makes scheduling simple meetings a total headache. Second, navigating language and cultural barriers can easily lead to miscommunication and unexpected complications. And ultimately, these communication errors and time differences can result in the client company experiencing a terrifying loss of project control. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these hurdles compound dramatically in highly specialized fields like LPO. Sharing sensitive legal documents overseas immediately raises huge questions of authenticity and security. Furthermore, legal work inherently requires an in-depth knowledge of local laws. You absolutely cannot just hand off a local compliance case to an offshore team without navigating an absolute maze of geographical and legal hurdles first. Bringing it all together, the final picture on our massive balance scale is pretty clear. The benefits of extreme efficiency and unparalleled access to global skills are incredibly potent for any business. However, they are constantly at war with the limitations, security risks, ethical job shifts, and severe communication gaps. Outsourcing is undeniably a powerful tool, no doubt about it, but it's one that requires absolute, meticulous management of contracts to avoid substandard quality. As companies continue to shave off their non-core processes to stay fiercely competitive, it leaves us with a pretty critical reflection point. In an increasingly globalized, specialized, and outsourced world, how will you ensure your own skills remain the core and not the non-core? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this deep dive has helped you see the hidden machinery running today's modern businesses.